Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for listening to this. This is going to be my movie review for the movie Sinners. I saw it yesterday. I actually did this recording last night, or I guess this morning. I saw Sinners and Until Dawn back to back. And this morning, I was doing my recordings and reviews of both of those movies. And I had some weird things going on. And it probably shouldn't have been up at like 2 almost 3 in the morning, talking about this content. So I was having some very weird feelings and goosebumps and stuff like that. I'll talk about this in Until Dawn too, a little bit, and a little bit of a backstory about that movie. But yeah, I'm redoing this review and making it a lot shorter since I know what I guess since I know what I want to say. Um, so I did enjoy watching the movie. I didn't enjoy Sinners. I know there's a lot of controversy around it and things like that. Yes, there are going to be some spiritual things in there. Just the title, it's a horror movie, titled Sinners, so of course it's going to have some darker side of some dark stuff in there. Um, there were times when the actors were acting, and you could tell that they were definitely channeling something from ancestors. They're definitely channeling, some spirits from the past. Now there are times when you can watch like Roots. There were times when I would see the Roots influence being in this movie. This movie was in the 1920s, I believe. So there were still some racial things going on. There was a lot of racial slurs in this movie. Um, I thought it was interesting how they handled it. I thought it was well how they handled it. But during like a lot of like Roots or some productions that do revolve around slavery, there is a powerful presence of ancestry that is there. So in this movie, you could still see that influence through some of the actors and scenes. Um, so the thing is, when you look at a show like Roots, it's different. It's educational and historical and everything. But then when you look at this movie and it's a horror movie and the same concept is kind of there, then oh, it's darker, it's demonic, it's satanic. But then like the same method was used for Roots. So the reason why I bring those two up is because one of the messages of this movie that I picked up that if you look up this movie, you're going to find a lot of you're going to find a lot of different things. So the thing that I mainly picked up that I think most people won't talk about is the transparency of this movie, the message of transparency. And the thing is, how a lot of times, um, the same thing that keeps that a lot of the gifts that we may have can seem to connect us to darker things, but they can also keep us connected to God and the light. And this movie really did kind of project the idea of what happens when the darker side is manifested through a spiritual gift. Um, Toward the end of the movie, I guess I should say it's a spoiler, but toward the end of the movie, the character who had the gift, if you look past the end credits, all the way past the end credits, there's two different post credit scenes, but at the very end, it shows the main character with their singing, and he's singing a church song, showing that with everything that happened throughout the movie, he never lost his faith fully, and so he did turn to God and use his gift for the church that his father wanted him to be a part of. So yeah, in case anyone was wondering if there was a post credit scene, so things like that. In one of the scenes after everything bad happened, the character is holding on. Um, his father was saying you have to stop with the music. You have to let the music go. The music's evil, things like that, and you have to let go of the sin. The more you play around with the devil, eventually he's going to follow you home. So and that was another message of this movie. Whereas the two twins, kind of being like doppelgangers, kind of representing doppelgangers, is they did some evil, sinful things somewhere else, and then when they came back home to their hometown, they tried to settle down and be like, "Oh yeah, this is what we're doing." And the sinful things that they did in other places, they ended up bringing it home. And once they brought it home, it ended up manifesting, and the manifestation eventually came about as being the vampires that were there. Um, so yeah, this movie did talk about that, about you know, do holding on to just allowing the devil to follow you to your home, and that home does mean like can mean your heart, and just how you breathe in life, how you breathe out life, just your heart, your quality of your heart, and how you experience life altogether. um so the twins do their thing and they come back home. As they come back home, they meet their families, their friends, old situations, and they bring about all the evil that they've done, and they end up bringing it to their home, and then it ends up destroying everything that they cared about and everything that they loved, everything that they appreciated. So this movie was really, it did talk about that. And so you had a preacher boy character who was, he was like a transparent. And so, his gift really did bring things together. But also the demonic forces were also like, oh, you have that gift. So, let us have that one right there that's gifted. So the vampires were trying to mainly get him. When he was in a rough situation with these demons and they actually attacked him, then he knew how to say the right prayer to, give him some time before the light showed up. So, with him trying to run away from the darkness and everything, get away, it still got him. And it wasn't until he actually turned to God and started praying that that's when the light started to shine, and it ended up saving him. Um, yeah, so there was something that was very odd, but I think it's a part of the message, which was when the sun was coming up, why did the vampires not hide if they knew the sun was coming? Basically, it was more so like the shadows, or the vampires that were possessing the people. They didn't really they basically they basically just wanted to kill all the people. Basically, just think of it like that. Like, he's talking about, oh, coming together in unity and love, and we can all be together and live together and peaceful, be happy together. And then once everyone had that agreement of love and peace, and we're gonna just go ahead and kill everybody just to get it. So all the vampires, they do all that, and the light ends up showing up and just ends up killing everybody, all those people that were a part of the darkness, and they were talking about, we're going to take everything over. Then they end up all getting a taste of the light, and they all end up burning up and dying. It wasn't so much as they wanted to, you know as as contradictory as that said, it's not so much that they wanted to take everything over and on all that stuff. It was more of unity um and using the people to using their bodies and killing them. But anyway, hopefully that makes sense. uh yeah, so anyway, so yeah, there was some symbol there was a lot of symbolism in here, some dark things. There was some necklaces that the main characters had, the twins. Apparently those were dog tags. I guess there was a lot of confusion about those. So those were dog tags from them being in the war. Um, so yeah, so Preacher Boy, he's the demons got him, and when the demons got him, and he was at his lowest point, and that's when he prayed on God, and then God revealed the light and saved him. So he went back to the church, and after he drove himself back to the church, and his father's like, "Come on, son, give up the sin, just let it go." And so Preacher Boy ends up just holding on to his guitar. So he did hold on to, instead of destroying his gift or letting it go or turning his back on it, he understood that the devil used his gift um, and did some dark things, but then after what happened, and he understood, God, and went toward his father's teachings, then he learned that his gift can still be used to sing choirs in the church. There was an old passage. So the whole thing about music and the demonic thing behind it was in Mississippi. There was this old musician who used to have his guitar, and he would play his guitar and sing. And I guess he wasn't that good. There's a lot of people that thought he wasn't that good. So he said he went to a crossroad, and then he met this random man, and this random man grabbed his guitar and tuned it for him. And then after he tuned it for him, he went out into the shows and started playing. And he was like the best player. And everyone was like, "Oh, this dude's amazing." Apparently, the story goes that he went to the crossroads and he actually met the devil there. And the devil was like, "Hey, let me tune your guitar to basically my frequency. And then once that happens, every time you go play, you allow me to influence the people around you that hear your music. And all I want in return is just your soul." That was how the story went. I forgot the band's name. It was, based on a true story. I was getting weird vibes, and something was strongly telling me not to listen to the voice of this man. And it was very creepy. It was very odd listening to the old recordings of this man talking. So I couldn't get too much into it. um but what I know is what I know, and it's what I just said. So apparently that idea is what the director brought into the movie, which was that concept, of tuning into that music, and then releasing it in such a way, on. Also, music was about unity, how music transcends through time, and how, we can hear songs and we can connect to the future. We can connect to so many things. And by listening to music now, we can reconnect to the past and to ancestors. And, there's old songs and hymns, things like that. And it really makes us feel connected to, the past and things like that. Um, So yeah, this movie did talk about that, the power of music and how amazing it can be, but also it talked about how Mississippi demonized music. So there's some interesting uh, things there between light and dark. Can't think of the word right now, but yeah. So yeah, interesting movie, good movie. Don't think I would see it again. There was a lot of weird elements that were put into the movie that seemingly shouldn't mix, but it's they're there. So but yeah. So anyway, the movie was all right. I wouldn't go see it a second time only because the first half of the movie was pretty good. The second half of the movie was good, but they were different, and it was good, but I wouldn't recommend seeing it. If you don't know what you're looking at, then you will definitely be hurt in some ways on a spiritual level. So, just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's my review. And thank you for listening.